All right, my guy, Lou Jimenez. What do
What
you
up?
go by? Do you just go by Luis? Do you go by Lou? What do you?
Uh, anybody I train with, like all the kids, they call me Coach Lou or Lou. But yeah, family is usually Luis.
Yeah, I feel like there's some last names that's hard to use as like a coach, and like some
Yeah,
some first names are kind of like dorky. Like if we called
Coach Choi.
Grant, we called him like Coach Matt. That'd be a little bit weird.
Yeah, weird. Yeah, Coach Luis is weird. Yeah, it's a weird one.
I think Lou works. So talk
Me
to me, man.
too.
You're in your garage gym. You do the high school. You do the college. How do you do all that fun stuff, man? There's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff. I think the biggest thing is trying to manage my time wisely, trying to get as much sleep as possible. On the days where I have to do all three of those things, it's a grind for sure. I go to Laverne from anywhere between 5 to 9 a.m., depending on the team, to 11, and then from there I go straight to Mater Day, come back to the garage, train, anywhere between 3 to 5 clients, and that's from 4:30 in the morning till 7:30 p.m. We're doing something. So just got to remember to take a lot of water and some snacks, and usually we can get it done.
Yeah, what's a good go-to snack?
I usually I'm a sucker. Obviously I know they're not the greatest, but I'm a big sucker for those the Gatorade protein bars.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
Only because they're like crispy and they have those little like malt balls in them, and
yeah.
it's like a lot of sugar. So usually about midday or like on the way to the high school, I just need something. I need some sugar, and the gas stations have been a lifesaver these days.
Yeah, you gotta buy in bulk, man. You just gotta buy. I think like we get those Bob's Red Mill bars.
Oh yeah, yeah, those are good.
Yeah, I like those, and then right now everything's like dry, like a dried banana. They just get something quick. That's
Yeah.
something we don't have time to prep sometimes, right? Or prep during the day. You don't have like 45 seconds to run to the microwave. So you just eat. It's quick, a lot quicker to just eat something just right off the bat as
Yeah.
well.
A PB&J never fails either. That's
Yeah.
a good one too. Yeah.
So you mentioned something, sleep. How do you do that with a less than one and a over 2-year-old? How do you do all that?
Yeah. I think it's one of the assistant coaches at Cal a while ago asked me, he was like, "Hey man, like how are you guys sleeping?" And I was like, "I think we're sleeping okay." He's like, "Dude, the dads always sleep the best. It's the moms that never really sleep." And I think it's a little bit true. Usually like even if I try to help out with the young one, the Luca is 7 months now. When I try to help him, he just wants his mom, And sometimes he's tired enough, he'll fall asleep on me or whatever. But he's a big mama's boy for sure. So she's the go-to. But we just try to get the kids in bed early. So we're in bed latest, depending if I have a client or not. Like we're eating dinner by like 6. Izzy gets her bath at 7. It's like 7:30 they're in bed, and we're pretty much in bed about 8 o'clock, you know?
I think that's great because I think it sets them up for like life too. Like, because life, you always hear people, like, oh, I can't get my kid to wake up or stay up. Like, if you build that routine now, that's all they know. They know to go to
Right.
bed early, they wake up early. My kid's 7 now. He's had that routine his whole
Yeah.
life. So
Yeah.
he's already kind of set up to do what we do, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah. It's gonna be different, I'm sure, because she's gonna transition to not a crib, but like a bed, like a real bed. So
Mhm.
I think there'll be like she loves to like play and run around. So I feel like we're gonna open the door at like 2 in the morning. She'll be in there doing push-ups or something.
Yeah, that's cool, man. So what else you got? Like, what's the toughest part about working at a high school? It seems like it's pretty tough.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say the toughest thing working at a high school, I think in this case, in modern day's case, I think the hardest part about it is just balancing so many teams in one weight room, and making sure the weight room flow like logistically is good. I think that's probably the toughest part because they have so many kids. We'll have 4 teams in one weight room at the same time. We'll have to have like one outside and then the other 3 inside, specifically this like block 8. So it's like after school every team wants that after school block, you know. So that's really it. Everything else is just, I mean, Division 1 or not, they're just got to be able to corral high school kids around, and make sure they understand walking in the weight room is time to lock in. But that's pretty much it. The volume of the kids is crazy.
Do you like how many of them, like the percentage wise, do you know their names?
My teams for sure, I'm like 80%. I'm
Dang.
like 80%. Yeah, which I think is pretty good because I have like the two teams at Laverne and then coming to modern day. It's just a lot of faces,
Right.
but I have this strategy that I've been doing for the past couple years. Like if somebody tells me their name, I'll use them first as like my demo. Like right away, I'll start calling their names like multiple times, and by the end of the day, I have their names down pretty good. So then I just do that with like one or two people, one or two kids per session, and then that way I build up the names pretty fast. But it's kind of hard, not gonna lie. There's a lot of faces. It's hard.
Yeah, for me, like I teach more now. I'll get their names right away within like 2 weeks. That's just what I do. I've done that. I think it's important. You get more out of them that way. But then like I'll see them the next semester and I'm like, no clue. I'll remember them. I'm like, hey, I just forget their name. It's the craziest thing. Like, I don't know what it is, but I'm able to get them quick, but I also kind of lose them quick as well. So it's kind of tough. So with that, like what do you have like a goal for each of the kids you work with, the athletes you work with, like independent of what's going on with their own goals or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, so there's like different. It's like tier. It's like kind of like a not a tiered system, but you have the Division 1 basketball, then the football. Those are the biggest, the bigger teams. And then you get down to like a lower level soccer, flag football that's kind of developing right now. And like some teams get all the elite athletes, these kids that are just super talented. And then other teams just get, kids who are just in there to earn some credit, or something like that. They don't want to do PE. So for me, it's not that it makes it easier, but when the 90-95% of the team, they all kind of fall in the same bucket of, they're not super coordinated. They have athletic ability in there, but they don't really know how to like express it all that well. It makes my job really easy because now I just get them moving a little bit better, learn how to jump, learn how to bound, learn how to do single leg stuff, just get them more coordinated in general. And yeah, so it makes my job a little bit easier. Because you see, it's really easy to work with somebody who's already elite, but working with somebody who's not as elite or doesn't have any level of foundation of athleticism, that's where it's like, okay, the work is really paying off. It's harder, but the work is paying off because you see it and it happens really, really fast. And usually those kids get stronger really, really fast too.
Yeah, when you work with like a higher level athlete, whether it's MMA or whatever, like you don't know if your stuff's working or not. You're like,
Yeah.
I just do this, I just do push, pull, hinge, some plyos. Like I don't know if it's working. They were good before I got them, and then they're good now. So you said do some movement stuff with those guys. Like talk to me more about that. I know you do the functional movement stuff, the applied functional science. Like walk me through how you do that and where you see how it fits with them or just a regular person.
Yeah, so usually from a programming standpoint, we'll always go something on the front end of the session after like movement prep and warm up stuff. We'll always do something power related. So whether that's a sprint, whether that's a plyo, whether that's something dynamic with a medicine ball or a Viper, we always do something dynamic before we get into like the meat and potatoes of the session. And I think with kids, it's really fun because you could take something that the majority of the kids, not the elite ones like we talked about, but some of the kids who are not super athletic, most likely they don't like sprinting because they're not good at it. They're not really the fastest. So I try to try to take those instances and gamify them. So I'll have them play tag. We'll do like very like positional start sprinting. We'll go laying on your belly, laying on your back, one knee down. But space them out 5 yards apart. So person one's up 5 yards, person two's 5 yards behind them. Hey, person one, you got to get to that 10-yard line without getting tagged. Person two, don't let them get to that 10-yard line. Um, and it just shoots effort through the roof. Like these kids just get so much faster just because there's like an objective that they have to do now, rather than just, hey, we're gonna get on the line. We got 5 sets of 5 yard sprints. Like just accelerate hard through the line, walk back. It's just like not mundane, but it's not engaging for
Yeah.
them. Makes sense.
That makes sense. Like the other day I saw my kid play with some kid. They don't like, hey, I'm gonna time you, see how fast you are. They just start like, hey, you want to run? And they just run.
Yeah.
So that's like you go back to that. I think it's cool. What are like some things that you can do or you do that engage adults? Sometimes it's hard to engage them because they're not gonna go wanting to race each other,
Yeah.
What are some
Yeah.
things you do with them?
So one thing I got for I actually never seen this. I mean, I played the game when I was like super young, obviously, but when I hung out with Erod at his spot, he was I had probably seen him do it like 6 times in one day, and I'd be there for like 3 hours, 4 hours, and he'd do it like multiple times. Is that head, shoulders, knees, and toes game?
Oh
And he
yeah.
the cone. So, and it's something really easy. So, like, let's say I'm working with, maybe somebody who's mobility wise is kind of lacking, even something as simple as reaching down, touch your toes as part of a warm up in front of somebody else. All you got to do is snatch the cone. If you hear me say cone, I think that gets them pretty fired up. And somebody who's maybe not as competitive, it kind of brings it out a
Yeah.
little bit. So we'll gamify that, or I know in the strength and conditioning world, you think of like a Bosu ball is kind of silly, but let's say somebody's coming off like, or they have like foot pain, knee pain. Um, you recognize that their foot is super locked up and they're stuck in eversion or inversion or something like that. So somebody with an older population, I'll have them stand on like an Eric's pad
Oh
and I'll
yeah.
have them like bounce a lacrosse ball and be like, hey, you got 20 bounces on the right, 20 bounces on the left, and then maybe pass the ball like from one hand to the other. And it's fun, especially in a one-on-one setting when you don't have a group. That's a really fun one. And I mean, for somebody who struggles with balance like that, that stuff is hard and it
Yeah.
burns. Your foot works so hard on an Eric's pad,
Yeah.
especially if you're just in shoes all the time. You're not used to that. You're not used to that. It's a great warm up.
Yeah, I think it's just different ways, right? When you learn what's in the textbook, and then you learn what works in real life. What about like determining what kid's an athlete? Like what's a way or some ways you can tell right off the bat that this kid's going to be a good athlete or not a good athlete? I'm not talking like can they power clean? Can they do an FMS? Like what are some things that you see with your eyes that says, oh man, that kid's an athlete?
Yeah. I'll just tell them to skip.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just be like, hey man, let's just skip 10 yards, 10 yards back, down back. And kids who can skip really well usually are pretty athletic. And then you'll see kids who are just like ipsilateral skipping, and you're just like, dude, what is going on, man? This is crazy. Like, and you see it too. Like you see it, honestly, I've seen it at the college level. I still see it at the Division 1 level in high school. Like those kids are in there, yeah, they're in a great spot, but they're good when there's a ball in their hand, or they're good when they're like, run down somebody on the field. But when it comes to just, hey, just express athleticism in a controlled environment and do this specific drill within the confines of how I told you to do it, and they just there's no more athletic ability. It's
yeah,
kind of funny, but interesting at the same time, you
yeah.
know, because somebody skipping doesn't determine whether they're a good athlete. It's just they can't do that specific thing. It's just kind of funny.
I mean, I feel like there's some truth to that. Like you see, like when a person can't skip. For me, it's like more so the karaoke.
Yeah.
For me, it's always been that. Like when I first coached, I was like, man, you have them do karaoke, and there's like some kids I can't do them. Like, is it me? Probably I couldn't coach it. And then you can tell the ones who just did it, they go play their sport. They're usually pretty good, and the kids who couldn't karaoke during the warm up, you can kind of see it. So, I think that's the like drill for me over the years is kind of like, all right, to start having them karaoke. If they can't do that, like odds are that person's going to take some more like body awareness type work than just like lifting.
Yeah. Do you still do that with like Gen Pop too?
Oh yeah, yeah. I think the way you and I have kind of marketed ourselves on Instagram, I think we do get Gen Pop, but it's going to be a different type of Gen Pop. Like these people kind of already know. what to expect. They've seen our stuff. I think which can, like in business wise, can be bad sometimes because you're just marketing this athletic type stuff and you get like a regular person. They just, I just want to be able to touch my toes. So I think there is pros and cons to that, but I think the Gen Pop Lou and I get are going to be a little more athletic. So yeah, I mean, I don't really see it that much, you know. Or you see maybe someone you get who's like 35 and they're out of shape and you see them move
Yeah.
and they're like, oh, all right, like what did you do in high school? Like you did something like, oh, actually I did X, Y, and Z, right? Like so you can kind of tell right off the bat they may not it's been dormant for a while, but at some point in their lives they were an athlete just from based on what they can do if they can skip or karaoke.
Yeah, I feel like we can always bring it out of them too. They just haven't been doing it,
Right.
but they get like a couple weeks, they'll come back, you know. That's why I think that dynamic warm up is so important. It could be literally anything, but just something to express some kind of rhythm, some kind of plow, something like that.
Yeah. So what like are there differences between how you train someone in your garage or let's just say you had the same athlete, baseball player or whatever it is. Would you train them a little bit differently if you were at Modern Day versus the garage versus wherever?
No, I don't really think so. I mean, I get pretty fired up when I'm in like the like a facility environment. So like at Laverne weight room or modern day weight room, I get pretty fired up when there's a lot of energy and the kids are there. But I think I'm pretty good. I think my demeanor and the way I coach is pretty consistent. I think I'm gonna give somebody a high quality training session, whether it's in the garage or in the school setting, wherever that is. Obviously, garage is probably maybe a little bit different because it's my house. So like I have Izzy knocking on the door, opening the door, running through. So that's been something I've been trying to get used to is I have somebody they have an hour of my time. They're driving from wherever, Monrovia or Tustin or Irvine. They got a 45, 50-minute commute. I got to give them quality time. And at the same time, I have one baby in a carrier. I'm trying to chase Izzy around the house, like telling her to don't touch this,
Yeah.
stop climbing on that. 'Cause she's super mobile right now. But other than that, yeah, I think it's pretty even across the board.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, what do you think that does for your kids one day? This they're just in this gym, like they're literally growing up in the gym. Like, what do you think that's gonna do for them?
I don't know. I think they're just gonna be more like okay with like explore. Izzy, I feel like every day is trying to climb on something new in here. Um, and I think she's also gonna learn that like if you do a certain thing enough, you're gonna end up getting hurt and you're gonna learn that valuable lesson many times in here, as she already has. And I think she's gonna take that and what do they say? You put your hand in fire. You know that saying? They say you put your hand in fire once. Um, I don't know, dude. It's something about a stovetop burner. I forget
Yeah,
what it's.
yeah, yeah.
It's like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, she's gonna learn that lesson and she's gonna do it over and over again. And I think it's gonna be good. She loves it in here. She always gets me to get her to do pull-ups and she's in here doing push-ups with my clients. It's fun. She's very social too.
That's cool. And I think, I mean, do you have anybody or have you had anybody who's like never trained, never been an athlete, and now they're training at 30 something? How hard it is for someone like that versus someone who maybe trained when they were young, stopped, and now they came back. Have you noticed anything like that?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. And it's usually the Gen Pop who has never had any type of athletic experience back when they were young. Um, yeah, it's for sure hard. And I think it's hard because it's very intimidating. They come into a space, whether it's here or a 24-hour fitness to work with a trainer that they're paying $200 an hour for. But they come in a place like this and they see like a bunch of like MMA hand wraps on the wall, and they just see a bunch of like all this stuff decorated right. It looks intimidating. It looks intimidating. So I think psychologically, once we break that barrier down, then it's just getting them comfortable, like, hey, you can actually do this. Like you can squat, you can lunge, you can rotate. but it's breaking that psychological barrier first, I think is the most important.
Yeah. Do you ever have like MMA guys with like a regular person or Gen Pop?
I used to a lot when I was training out of Innovative. I would have a group. I would have like three or four MMA guys, and then like one or two Gen Pop in there. Um, and depending on the client, most clients it fires them up, right? It's
Yeah.
like, hey, Joe Schmo's over here. He's 4 weeks out from his fight, and they're in the corner hitting the assault bike, shadow boxing, doing all this crazy stuff. And over here we're doing bicep curls, tricep extensions. Like they get fired up, they get fired up.
Yeah, I've done it before too, where like, hey guys, so and so is 3 weeks out. You're gonna do some fight camp stuff, and sometimes like, oh crap, all right, we'll do it. So it's pretty cool when you have those type of people that they'll just do it. Like instead of like, yeah, I mean, yeah, we should like modify, right? Like so and so has this program, they're gonna modify here, but sometimes you're like, man, I don't, I'm just not gonna modify. I'm just gonna put them through it.
Yeah, you're just gonna jump right in. Yeah, but they have a good time. Yeah, it's easy to modify though. I feel like we do a pretty good job at being able to be on the fly with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool when you have like those people like, oh man, then they realize they can push, right? So I always think that's pretty cool to be able to have that for them just to train with an athlete or whatever. I think it's so or like women sometimes, right? They like they'll pick up the weight and they'll say, "Oh, it's like it's not that heavy," but then they have it in the back of their mind it's heavy. They don't want to pick it up. But then if like another female athlete picks it up, they'll do it. So it's like nice to have like a strong woman in your group
Yeah,
with another girl, and they'll do it because they see the other girl do it. And I think it's like having that is so important. Where you can have like a female athlete who's strong. It picks up the other ones as well.
100%. Yeah, it's huge.
Um, so like, because you have like a couple female fighters, right?
Yeah, we had right now we have Jess, and she's kind of like a jack of all trades. She can kickbox, box. She's real nice on a pad. She used to compete when she lived in Australia. She's a strong girl for sure. She's a strong girl. So she trains in a 7 o'clock Gen Pop uh hour that we have Tuesdays and Thursdays. And she motivates everybody for sure. It's her one. So she's one of my clients. And then one of the decoy, this female that I train, her name's Julie. She's a dog decoy. So she puts on the bite suit and takes bites from dogs at like high speed. Yeah, she's crazy.
Yeah.
But those two girls, they're the two females that I have that can hit 12 strict pull-ups. Which is to me, like, I don't know, I just want all my females to be able to crush pull-ups, crush
Yeah.
push-ups. I think that's really important. So it's a fun group. It's a fun group.
I think those are good. Those are good like benchmarks too, because typically like women don't do good at those ones, and then once they realize they can do it, or you help them get there, I think it's cool for other like females to see those things too, right? Like, because what happens is we just end up doing what we're good at. For
Right.
guys, typically we'll just keep benching, or whatever, right? Instead of just doing other stuff that can benefit us, right? Are you doing any running? Are you like endurance training? You did high rocks. Like, what are you doing now?
Right now, dude, I haven't ran a mile a hot minute. Ever since when I trained for that 30 miler, and I did that, and then shortly after I ran a mile, probably like 2 weeks after the 30 miler, and I ran a mile, I was like, dude, what an idiot. Why did I do 29 more miles of that? That mile felt so long. I can't believe 30, it was like 5 hours or something crazy. Just doing anything for 5 hours is insane. But most of my cardio will get here in a garage. I haven't been sprinting as much as I'd like. Mostly just, I don't know, the flow of the day and the sessions. Usually, I prefer to sprint. If I'm going to sprint, I'd like to do it like kind of in the afternoon, like late morning. Because
Yeah.
if you roll right out of bed, 5 in the morning session, like to start sprinting right away, I feel like something's gonna give. Hammy's gonna go. Or you just warm up for 45 minutes and sprint for 15.
So
That's good
lately,
too.
lately, what I've done for sprinting is like, yeah, that's supposed to be like your first block, right? Your power stuff. I just make that like my second or third sometimes. Like I feel like
Yeah.
a lot better now. So instead of extending my warm up, yeah, my warm up's still 10, 15 minutes, but I'll do my other block first.
Yeah.
Like that's helped me like sprint better. Instead of like, oh man, I'm taking forever to warm. I can't get that. You're just like, dude, just go do just flip your second block with your first block. Then
Yeah.
sprints come in a little bit easier, especially as we age, right? Like I mean, I have my days, right? Some days I'm like, I'm good, let's go, let's go. Like, it's not every day I need to warm up. I'm not like married to that warm up process. I think having a process is important, but also like, hey, you feel good, let's just go, dude. You don't need to do all this stuff.
Yeah.
Some
100%.
long warm up, some days it's not, some days you just can't get going no matter how many coffees you drink or whatever that is. Um,
That's where the bench starts coming out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Do you drink a lot of coffee?
I'm probably at like 4 cups a day right now.
Yeah, I'm about that too. But I cut mine off pretty early, so I can still like wind down. If I drink it like past, so I have those like 4 cups before 10 a.m.
Yeah, I can easily, yeah, I'm usually done with my coffee about like the latest like 11, but if I have anything past 12 or 1, I can't sleep. Or if I do sleep, it's like terrible sleep.
I drive by like a Dutch Bros and it's like 3 o'clock. I'm like, who are these people? You're just drinking caffeine this late. But I think like I don't want to like rip on people, but this is why people have like that vicious cycle of like not sleeping because like, well, I can't sleep, and you're tired, so you drink coffee at 3 instead of just like, because right now I get a little bit tired this time, like 1, 2, 3, I get a little tired. I just suck it up because if I drink coffee now, you put it yourself in that cycle now where yeah, you're good now, but then you go to bed, you're screwed, and then you hit that cycle over and over and over. So
It's tough. It's like that's how it's crazy to me. I see like people go to the gym. I mean, it's great. People are training like in the PM, but they're also having like a scoop and a half of some C4 or like the craziest pre-workout at like 7 p.m. Like, man, I that's insane to me. I don't know how anybody can get any sleep, but they're probably used to that, or they work like graveyards. If you see anybody training at like a LA Fitness or 24-hour fitness at like 8 p.m., like they're not sleeping until like 4.
that's tough. Do you take pre-workout now? Do you have any like supplements that you go to help you get through your day or start your lift?
Usually really the only supplement is creatine right now. When we're stocked and when we're consistent, we'll have fish oils in the house, but they ran out and I just haven't
Yeah.
everything just buying berries for the kids and snacks for them. So we just kind of forget about that stuff.
Yeah.
Um, but really just creatine. We make sure to have creatine all the time. So I'll take creatine. I have a pre-workout that I take every now and then. It's that Transparent Labs pre-workout. It's good. It's got like 150 milligrams of caffeine, so it's not anything crazy, but I only take it like really feel like I like coffee's not gonna do it.
Yeah.
But it's very rare. I'm pretty good. Like we'll hit staff lift at Laverne, and we usually start about like 5:30. I'll be like halfway through my coffee and we just get after it. Just get through our warm up, get through flow and we just go. I mean, it's easy when you got coach.
What's the biggest staff lift you've had over there? Like how many people have been there? Like 7 people, 8 people?
No, it's been pretty it's well actually there's one time. So coach wanted to do staff lift, but wanted to include a couple teams. So we had probably like 20, 18 people lifting at the same time because he hit 11,000 followers on Instagram. So he wanted to like commemorate that. So
It's a lot, man.
so
That's crazy.
yeah, it's a lot. I mean, well, it's a lot because he started at like 9K and he started doing his develop with Durant series
Yeah.
and all of a sudden he just started blowing up. He just started blowing up, which is great. So we get in there and we did staff lift in the morning. It was just the immediate staff. So it was like 4 of us, 5 of us. And then like a 10 o'clock rolls around. We did 11,000 reps total. It was 10 sets of 10 for, man, I think we did trap bar deads, we did hanging leg raises, we did biceps, we did triceps, we did single arm dumbbell bench, we did RDLs. We did like probably, I don't know what the math would be like. I think it was at least like 9, 10 different movements,
Oh,
10
man.
by 10 on everything. It
Yeah.
was wild, dude. I was sore for for a couple days for
It
sure.
was Imam you said, or just went you, me, you, me?
It was just you, me. Yeah. Just you, me.
I think that's so simple sometimes. Like, we do some we do some good stuff at Laverne, but then sometimes you do the simplest thing. Like, dude, we could just do this. Like, you don't need to have a tricep. Just go you, me. Nickels and
Yeah.
dimes. Like those are just like classic, simple workouts you can do. Sometimes we're like, oh crap, we have 3 people or 5 people. I gotta have this tricep set up. They're on A block, they're on B block, where you can just do it. Hey, you me. Like sometimes
Yeah.
you don't need to have the best try set or pair set. I think you just share the work together. I think that's cool. There's something in there. So I was Coach Durant's athlete. I've also worked under him for a while. What are some things that like you've learned or you've taken away from you from working under Coach the last year or so?
I think number one, I think the biggest thing is structure. So everything has its place. And I got a little bit of this when I was working in kitchens a while back, but everything has a place and everything needs to be uh, put back in that place in an orderly manner. Everything has a home, and that's where things live, you know. Things need to have order, and order dictates function. I think that's huge, huge.
So what are some things, what are some similarities of working in this field and then working in a kitchen? You mentioned the kitchen. Like how does that transfer?
I think it's I think they share more commonalities than most people would assume. I think they're super closely related. So like in kitchens, I was working at some pretty high level spots on the tail end of my career in the kitchens. I was working at like Michelin level, Michelin star restaurants, and everybody thinks they have the recipe, you know, everybody thinks they have the best technique out there. But in reality, like everybody's just we're all on the same team, you
Yeah.
know. We're all on the same team. We're all out trying to just provide a service to somebody or people in the kitchens. It's you're cooking somebody something that they'll remember and something that will uh, maybe change the way they think about food or what you can do with food. And all restaurants do that, whether it's like just a super hole in the wall Mexican spot or a three-star Michelin restaurant in Northern California. Like they just want to impact people by food. We just want to make people happy. That's it. That's it. And in training, it's the same thing. Everybody thinks they have the recipe, but at the end of the day, we're all in it for the same thing. We want to impact people. We want to help people get stronger, faster, lose weight, and just be more confident, you know? Even if people don't want to lose the weight, they just gain a lot of confidence psychologically. They feel good, you know. Um, but everybody just has to belong to a camp, you know. And if you're not in a camp, then your word is not worth much if you're not in a camp. You know, you have to talk smack about somebody. Yeah, you got to play the heel, you know, these days. But yeah, we're all on the same team, and I think the commonality is great. You have to be adaptable in the kitchens. You have to be adaptable in a weight room. You have to be able to think critically in both scenarios. Yeah, it's great. It's really cool to see the
Yeah, I've
parallels.
never worked in a kitchen, but I always think of it as like watching Hell's Kitchen, where it just seems so hectic and someone's yelling at you, and you gotta do all these things, and it's all different, and it seems like it's so hectic, and I'm sure that helps you transfer to like a high school setting when there's all these teams, it's all these high school kids. It seems they both seem hectic in their own way, right?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And they're both hectic in the same sense that you can't have like tunnel vision. You have to understand everything that's going on around you, whether it's for safety, whether it's for just overall flow of the session. Like you just have to be aware of your surroundings. Obviously, in a kitchen, there's a lot more inherent risk. You know, there's like knives and stuff being thrown around and stuff like that. But same with working a bunch of high school kids, you know, like you never know somebody's gonna drop something on their foot. They don't seat a barbell right on the rack. It could fall over. Somebody's not spotting somebody. You just have to be very aware of your surrounding, you know.
What has there been like? like, working in your garage, working at the high school, working at the college, like what has been like a recent memory for you, like a rewarding memory from working all these places?
Um, I think there's been two. This one time, or this one instance, I have an athlete at Laverne. She's on the cross country team. She's on the distance team, and this girl is very small, very small. Probably like I don't know how
High,
tall
high
Alyssa would be.
five.
Yeah, maybe a little bit shorter, maybe a little bit shorter than you. Very petite girl. And she struggled with the bar, like struggled. And we don't have any 15 kg bars at Laverne. I mean, we do, but I think they're in storage. Um, but so she's just on the 20 kgs and she just can't move that thing. So we had to regress. She's doing, the clean progressions with dumbbells just to get comfortable with like jumping with a little bit of weight in her hands, getting comfortable with high pulls with some light dumbbells. And now she's throwing up like 105, 110 on her cleans, like just nothing. She looks good. She looks sharp. And it felt like it was overnight, but obviously it wasn't. It felt like it was overnight because one day I see her struggling, and then the next time, what feels like the next day was she's hitting like 105 for three, like butter. And I'm just like, those instances, like we talked about earlier, you just feel like so proud, because it's like you can do this. Do you remember? And I told her in that instance, like, do you remember how hard that was in the beginning? Like you couldn't even move it, and now you're throwing this weight up. You have to do a weight change and go down and wait for a partner now. Like that's crazy. That's crazy. So that, and then um I just remember it wasn't really like any specific instance, but I was just training some clients and I just see like Izzy just running around and I'm just like, man, like this is the life, like just get to work and be able to be present as a father and not be away and be able to spend that time with my kids in the garage. Um, that moment was pretty cool. It wasn't any specific thing. She was probably just like throwing a ball around, but it was just that.
Yeah, I think sometimes we take for granted how like easy we do have it, like we're grinding. I knocked out 10 sessions. Man, we are in AC or in a garage or we're in gym shorts, we're in a t-shirt. Like I think I know people like to say that they're in the trenches. I'm like, man, it's such a like a knock on those guys who are really out there, Like
Yeah.
whether you're in a college setting, we have it so good, man. I think like, you and I fortunately have done some other things that made you not forget how hard those days were, right? So I think like it's always good to remember those things where we do have it really good. Even the hard days or the boring days, like it's not, let's say we had a bad client. It's not bad for 8 hours. It's not bad for a 9 to 5. It's bad for 1 hour, so you got to keep those things in perspective, man. Like the alternative out there, I think it's always so much harder, like we're so fortunate to be able to do this and hang out with people, for lack of a better term, right? I'm a little bit
Yeah, we
different.
talk about it all the
I
time. Yeah,
talk crap. I talk crap to everybody I train, so I do that for a couple hours a day, and it's I mean it is a grind in some ways, but it's like nothing compared to what you hear, you see out there. You see those guys when you go to the gas station, they're wearing their orange shirt, they're all beat up, man. You were in gym clothes, man. So I always got
yeah.
to tell like myself and other people that, man, it's not that hard. Relax.
No, yeah, and also like I think I've done a better job at this because in the past, like coming up and or obviously I'm still young in the field, but I used to take myself so seriously, and like take this job so seriously, and now I'm coming into a place where it's like the less serious you take it, like the better, like everything works, everything is gonna benefit the people in front of you, to an extent, right? But it all works and it's gonna be okay. Um, and just not taking yourself or the industry so serious.
Yeah, like you said, it's like we fall in these camps where this is functional, this is not functional, this guy's this. Like I think it's good. I think it's good to have argument and talk about these things and debate, but I just can't stand it when those guys are like a talking head and they're talking crap about this other person in video. I'm like, dude, what are you even doing, man? How does that even benefit anybody, man? Like, it doesn't
Well, it
benefit.
benefits them. It gets likes. It gets likes. It gets like
Like it doesn't help anybody, man. So I just don't like that part of the field where they have to like bash on someone, you know. I just feel like there's just so much more we can do, and like if you when you realize like training that most of it will probably work and will be okay and will be effective, will increase performance, like you realize that none of that stuff like matters where people are saying this and that, if if fascia's real or fascia's fake. I'm like, well, is he moving better? Is he feeling better? The person I'm working with, are they getting better on the field and life? And yeah, that's what's important.
yeah. And it's always funny because I know we talk about this kind of stuff a lot, but it's always funny when I hear you say that kind of stuff because it makes me think about like when I was just quote unquote back to the grinding, right? But when I was grinding, trying to get all these certs and trying to learn as much as possible, and then at the end of the day, if I had all my people just do body weight squats, push-ups, and some rows every now and then, everything's gonna be fine, you know? But I'm over here like, dude, we got to get all the certifications. I need everything behind my name, you know?
Yeah.
It's funny.
I mean, I think it is, I mean, but there is stuff to that, right? I think it's cool to do those foundational stuff, but it's also like good to understand the how, the why, the what when we move in different planes, right? I think for me, like personally doing a lot of the 3D movement stuff, I just feel like it helps people gain awareness of their body. Yeah, they may not be like increasing their bench right off the bat, right? But I think if you have an overall better awareness of your own space and the space around you, I think it does increase like bench press or whatever it is. I think having those the more awareness about yourself can really help in other aspects of your life as well.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's why I was so um I'm very happy that we took, and I say we took, but that I was kind of driven to go into the AFS world because of you. I think AFS, for that specific reason, just kind of this is the why, the what, and the how behind how we move. Um, and it all just makes so much sense. You know, it's like the simplest stuff when you hear people like Todd Wright or Gary Gray talk about it. It's like it's all so simple and it makes so much sense, but you never really think about it until it's put in front of you and you're like, whoa, that's
Yeah.
crazy, you know?
Yeah, I think it's just so cool because now like you can modify anything, right? Like we pick an exercise. I love doing this one just with people who are newer. I've been fortunate enough to be a mentor to a couple of coaches, and we do is like, okay, here's a squat. How can we do a squat? And then you modify it. But then every time you modify, everyone always modifies in the sagittal plane, right? So
Yeah,
how do we modify in the frontal plane? How do we, you can do a lateral squat, right? You can do lateral lunge, right? And then how can you do a transfer play? So you take a same movement pattern, we'll just say knee bend or knee dominant exercise. You can train that movement in all three ways, right? And I think it's just like so nice to learn from a system that gives you several ways to modify, right? You could like any like people are like, oh, does it matter to hold it this way or this way? Yes and no. It's going to affect
yeah,
tissues differently, but it's like whatever works for you, right? We don't have to. The first way we learned how to do anything was like we have to do it this way. That bar has to be on my back, right? And now we know that's not always the case, right? You can front squat it. You can use a different tool. They're all going to be same but different, right? So learning all those things, I think, really helps us as coaches, and I just hope that's something like I continue to share and you can share with others. Like there's just like so many ways to do that pattern, just by or keeping the same pattern, just changing how we hold the weight. You could there's just
yeah.
infinite ways to modify like a squat or whatever.
Yeah. I just think you don't see it as often. I think you will sooner rather than later, but I think you probably just don't see it in normal strength and conditioning programs or facilities because it's probably just a little bit not harder, but it's going to take more work to facilitate and make sure the flow is good in the weight room, right? Like it's like, hey, everybody's gonna back squat, but on your warm-up sets, you're gonna like toe one foot out, external rotation at your hip, and you're gonna hit that, a few reps as your warm-up set. Like it's harder to keep eyes on that many feet, let alone kids, but now you're making sure everybody's like doing the tweak the right way. It's like I feel like you can do it. You just have to be on top of it.
Yeah, it's hard because, that's just like, I think what we do sometimes um, isn't like the best in the terms of like the best outcome. It's the best in terms of like we can manage that, right? So I think, yeah, I mean, yeah, it should be managed, right? But I think like it's like a good program isn't always like maybe the best exercise is the best like managed, kind of like we talked about with coach. Like we're not necessarily like, and I think that stuff gets passed along. We're not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that like sometimes like that's just the best because that's the best managed, right? If you're working on a one-on-one setting, you can do a little bit more than you can in like a large group setting.
Yeah. And I think even coach I've heard Coach Durant say this too. It's like the best exercise or the best movement is the ones that the kids believe in,
Right.
and I think that's a big one too. That's huge. If an athlete understands why they're doing something and they feel it, that's just so much buy-in, and they're gonna want to try to do the best they can at that specific movement. Yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm saying. So I think that got to go back. That goes back to what you said about like the female clients, right? Like they don't believe they can do pull-ups. Now they can. They've built confidence, and now they believe in what you're doing, and they're doing those things, right? So, and I think, like you said,
Yeah.
like doing like pull-ups is so cool. Like especially for like you're a bigger guy. I think that's just so you're just pulling up that much weight. That's insane.
Yeah. The next project I'm working on, I forget his last name, but the dude that just climbed the Taipei Tower.
Yeah.
So the free solo guy. So a clip of his training was I don't know if you saw the actual doc, but there was a clip of him doing pull-ups and he's grabbing like the actual side, like he's grabbing the rack, right? So he's like pinch gripping the rack and doing pull-ups. I
No,
did two. I did two the other day.
that wide.
They're yeah, dude, they're so freaking hard. So now I'm gonna try to get like 10, 12 in a row. I think I could do it. The fact that I did two, but I was smoked. I like rested for like 2 minutes and I tried to do another one and I was done. I was
Yeah.
done. There's no way. There's no way. They're really hard,
Have you
but
have you done rock climbing?
never. I mean, like at boomers,
Yeah.
like, but not like actual rock climbing. I get this thing, like even just right now, if I think about it enough, my hands get super sweaty. So I feel like I'd have to get like chalked up like crazy.
Yeah,
I think it's just like the sensation of the rock,
yeah. I mean, I've done like what's it called, bouldering, like the indoor rock climbing stuff. It's like kind of you get there. It's kind of easy at first, and you're doing the easier level, like V0 or whatever. You're climbing, but then like I think once you get towards the top, it's kind of like oh, crap. It's kind of scary, man.
Yeah, dude, that's sketch. Yeah. And imagine doing that for like getting up to like a skyscraper, with nothing like with nothing holding you from just falling. But I think when he climbed that tower, that was probably the easiest climb he's ever done. He's basically climbing a ladder. He has so much like lip to grab onto compared to the other stuff he used to do. That's crazy.
He just like doesn't have like that fear response or something. I read something, but he doesn't
Yeah.
have the same response that we have. He just like he sees it, he recognizes that's 18,000 feet down or whatever, 1,800 feet down. But like we're like, oh crap, he doesn't have that. He just sees it and he just moves on. So like,
Yeah, he's just like, oh, cool.
right.
Sweet.
But you can't have that. Like you can't have that like fear, right? Like when you're doing something like that, you just can't. Just like when you try to power clean or hang clean 255 or 225, like it's heavy, but if you have fear of that weight crushing, you're never gonna hit it. So it's like it's not fear that we don't
Yeah.
miss the lift. Like if you have fear that you're gonna miss the lift, like it's gonna crush you, then you'll never do it. Or if you have fear
Yeah.
of fall from a pull-up bar, you'll just never do it. So
Just gotta commit. Just gotta commit. So how many so I know I don't want to call them like Choi's goons, but how many people do you have kind of that they're under your kind of like mentorship? How many people are you giving phone calls to a week?
I mean, I don't know if I'm doing that like for that reason, but there's a handful of people that I call, and sometimes it's not like direct mentorship. I'm like, hey, today we're going to talk about the squat and modify how we can modify it. But I think it's just like little questions. I've always kept this for different reasons. I think when I was younger, sometimes it was hard to get a hold of people, and I always thought like, if I ever am in the situation, like I'm gonna build people up, I'm gonna answer the calls. Like I'm never gonna be that, because you've had that, or if I had that, and I'm like, I don't ever want to be like that. I don't think that's right. Like there's time, you can find time to answer a call or send a text back, right? And the other side of that too is like I had so many people who helped me along the way, and I want to be able to do that for other people. I think you hear the term like self-made or whatever. I think it's such a bullshit. I hate it. Like I worked at a place called Self-Made but a long time ago, but outside of that, like this thing where like I'm self-made, I'm this, like no one is self-made. Like someone gave birth to you, someone adopted you, or someone said yes to buy your album or buy your training session or eat your shitty food. Like someone said yes. So like it's not that like I just hate that term. I think it's always it takes other people who believe in you or don't believe in you. I think it takes all those things. And obviously, as I've gotten older, it's less about, fuck the haters and more so about like the people who believe in me, right? Like, I think having that is so important. And for me, it's also like you know, the plate's big enough. We can all eat. There's 8 billion people in the world, or whatever the number is. Like, you can't train them all. I can't train them all. We can all help each other out. If we make the field better, it's just less silly. I think the field's so silly. Every day we see someone talking crap about someone. It doesn't do anything good for the field. So I don't
Yeah.
know if your
Where do you
question.
think the field is headed in like 5 years?
Hmm?
Where do you think the field is going to be in 5 years?
I think it's busier, man. I think, AI takes over a lot of stuff. You see those little, I don't know if you've seen them now. There's like these camps now. If you're like 30 years old, you pay for these tickets and you go to this cow camp and you do hard stuff. I think I think people are missing that, right? And they don't know they don't know how to go about that. So
Yeah.
people who are smarter than me have created this thing where people will pay you a lot of money to do this stuff. I think you got to do hard things, and I think there's things you grow through by going through hard things. So I think the field comes back more. Not that saying we're losing it, but I think like becomes busier again with all this AI stuff. That the AI stuff. If you just think if we can think back to a year ago or maybe 2 years ago now, like how bad it was. Now how good AI is. It's just so different.
Yeah.
Everything's
So you think
automated.
AI is going to be the great field?
I think it's gonna be really good. It's gonna take some other things off our plates and make things a lot easier. But I think there's something that AI can't automate, and I think that's like physicality, just doing hard things. And it doesn't have to be like strength and conditioning. It could be yoga. Yoga can be hard. It could be running. It could be MMA, jiu-jitsu. I think all those things. I think those things will make more of a wave back. I think the run club's really popular stuff right now. I think that's cool. I think anything that gets people to do something. I'm not a
Yeah.
fan of the amount of running. But I think it's like if you can figure out a way for people to do a little bit of everything and be okay with it. The problem is I think people just want an identity. They just want like, oh, I'm a high rocks guy. I'm a whatever CrossFit. I'm a runner. I think if you get rid of that identity or you make a new identity that encourages all these things and encompasses all these things, I think that helps too. I think it's so good to um, experience it all. I think do it all. I think reading this stuff's important, right? I think the AI has got rid of like deep work where like we're just gonna like just look it up and we'll get the answer instead of just like, hey, I'm diving into it. I'm reading Anatomy Trains for the fifth time. I still don't understand it. Then I'll use AI to help me, right? I think that's where AI is handy. But I think yeah, I still think we gotta do hard stuff. I think there's something to it, right? You've been in different rooms where you do different types of hard stuff, and I think you always come out a bit better.
100%.
You know, I think
100%. You think college is going to be run by AI? Back when like Chance or Izzy start going to college, what do you think that's going to look like?
I don't know. I don't know how it's gonna work because you gotta think now, like everyone's using it, right? So the students using it, the instructors are using it in some capacities. They're all using it. So like at some weird point, it's not the user to user, right? So I don't know. I don't know how it affects the world coming up. I don't think higher education goes away. I mean, I saw this thing the other day, some headline was like, there's going to be a 3-year bachelor degrees now. So there's getting, I guess they're getting rid of some of the electives, which I think has a pro and a con. I think, people say like, oh, it's just a waste of money, but I think you learn other stuff, that might be important to you later down the line.
Yeah.
I think all of it's good. And then I think college is a cool thing in that you're in a unique environment where you can meet people that you may have not otherwise have met. I think that's important, unless you're going out to a jiu-jitsu studio, which you meet all kinds of different people. And I think that's cool too. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly where the future head is. I just think I think the physical space grows and the need for people like us grows. Because again, because right now you can make the argument that if I ask, ChatGPT to write me a program, it can probably write a better one than you can or I can for my goals, right? But I think
Yeah.
part that you may miss now is like, maybe the how, the how to do it better or the why. I think you can ask AI these things. I don't think it'll help. Like it won't replace Lou having those answers. Yeah, like those answers might not be like as good as AI will answer, but I think people want to hear it from a human. Like I think it's important, and I think the more uh, as much as we read AI or books or whatever to get the answers in the training space, I think it's still so important to do the task, you know,
Yeah.
especially coming from like our traditional like weight room, strength, power, there's this thought process where like if you do some endurance training, it goes away, you know. I think it can if you only did those things for the next year or two, then you stop lifting, but if you're still touching on those qualities you can run 30 miles and not lose that stuff like what people think. So I think like doing it gives you a better answer for those things.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense.
Any boxing lately?
Dude, nope. I haven't been the schedule is just so chaotic, I gotta do better at making that a priority to go. Usually my boy Angel's been dragging me out to the range. So we're hopefully working on some cool projects on that end.
Yeah.
So I'm getting out to the range at least once or twice a month, which is great. It's a really expensive hobby. But thankfully Alyssa's cool with it and Angel helps out with a little bit of ammo because that stuff gets really expensive really fast. But we're working on some cool projects. Hopefully, we'll roll something out here in another month or so, trying to dial in some stuff.
Is it like a get people moving type of deal?
Yeah, so he wants to incorporate more of have like a standardized curriculum. So he'll come in, he has his curriculum on how to teach people, to draw, the right grip, all that kind of stuff. Um, then he wants to get into, he trains a lot of like law enforcement, active duty military or law enforcement. So he'll train SWAT, um, Santa Ana PD. He's gotten Redlands PD out there.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah. So, but a lot of the departments they'll have training, but they're just standing and they're stagnant and there's no real stress. So we want to take the assault bike out there, maybe some sandbags, and
Oh, shoot.
yeah, we're gonna do some put ourselves through some stress and then go shoot, because
Gotta breathe
it's
all
one thing.
hard and dang.
Yeah, you gotta breathe and you gotta like maintain composure as you're trying to hit this target. So some strength training in there mixed with some, some bike work. We're gonna be breathing and get the heart rates up and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. There's just no from what I can see and from what Angel could see is more from him, right? Because he's in that space. Um, no department really has like standardized or at least like what what most would say like something that you could say, all right, this is the level of fitness that we require from everybody. Like, and the level of fitness is like it's gonna be a push-up test, a pull-up test, and run a mile, something like that. But it's like, are these guys sprinting? Are they doing something dynamic? Are they cutting? Are they doing or do they even have like sprint standards, you know? You would imagine that they do, but I don't think they
I,
do at all, you know, and this is
I think that's important, you know, that's you have to have like some type of maybe strength standard, speed, power,
yeah.
tactical, you know, like I think that stuff's so important, you know.
It's probably like context based. It's probably per department, you know, like I'm sure like the gang units in LA train pretty hard, you
Right.
know.
Hopefully.
Uh yeah, hopefully. Or like you take like the gang unit versus CHP, like their training is probably a little
Oh
bit
yeah,
different,
probably,
you
yeah.
know,
I would
a
assume.
little bit
Hopefully it's
different.
different. Yeah.
So those gang unit guys, they gotta sprint through city streets and jump over walls and jump over cars and all this stuff. And then unfortunately at some point they're gonna have to draw and then under all that stress, you know, like they could do they train in that way? Do they not? Do they get their all their training in real world situations? So we want to roll out some kind of curriculum on that aspect, but also kind of like a mobility. All these guys are pretty beaten up, you know, they're driving all day. If they're on call or whatever, they're just sitting in their car all day, you know, plus every now and then having to get up from being super cold, sprinting. They're beat up, you know. So we want to be able to get into some departments and give them some mobility workshops and things like that. But we'll see. It's very infancy stage right now. We're just got to sort out the details and get rolling. We got to put ourselves through it first, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. So you mentioned something, and I'll let you go here. You mentioned something about like training and the differences, right? Like maybe a CHP guy is different than like a SWAT guy in LA. Um, you know, for you, are there differences between how you train a cross-country guy and a MMA guy, or or on top of that, is like how different is your training compared to those people too? I think, like for me, like I have a list of fitness qualities I find that are important, and I try to touch on all those things for myself. So I just want to see like how it's different for you.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of the client that I train, the template is usually the same, unless they have some. Even if they're older, I've trained clients who are like in their 60s, you know, and I still want them to do some type of power expression, whether that's like just kind of picking up a medicine ball and lobbing it over their shoulder. It's like a 5 pound ball or something like that. Usually everybody trains the same. Everybody follows the same template. We do some type of power, some type of resistance, push, pull, lunge, hinge, all that kind of stuff. Um, what may change is just intensities or goals. If somebody doesn't want barbell stuff, then we just won't do any barbell stuff. Some people want to learn sandbags, so we'll just do strictly sandbags. And then for me, like as long as for me the biggest qualities that I want to hit is I want to make sure I can squat my 230 pound bag. I want to make sure I can carry it for, you know, 50 yards without putting it down. I want to make sure I can hit 20 pull-ups. Um, and that's pretty much it. As long as my cardio's up, my cardio is pretty good. I try to get at least maintain 100 reps on my mega rope, that mega rope that you gave me, which is on
Consecutive?
its tail. Yeah, consecutively. My record is 200.
That's hard. I don't know. I don't know if I can I could probably get 100. I don't know about two. That's a lot, man.
My record is 200. And so as long as I can maintain that, I feel pretty good. I do every now and then get like an itch to run because I don't know, it just psychologically it's nice to just go and put your shoes on and just go for a run. But that's really it. Everybody trains the same. I try to treat everybody as an athlete. Everybody really is at the end of the day an athlete. And I have to respect that. And everybody just wants to move as they should. So yeah, everybody's an athlete and that's it.
Yeah, I think it's so important. It's like I think either Coach Durant or Coach Doe said it. If you have a body, you're an athlete, you know? I think sometimes that can like scare people. I'm like, no, you're an athlete. Like your real life. necessitates you being more of an athlete than you would a bodybuilder, you know, like I know I always sound like I hate bodybuilding, but that's not the thing. It's like I think that's good. It's so hard to do that stuff, to be able to count your macros, eat this amount of protein, stick on this strict program. I think there's power to that, but I also feel like for a lot of people, I think they just gotta be more aware of their body so they don't get hurt, you know, or they can move better. And I think those things transfer more than a double back bicep, you know? So,
Right. Yeah. But it's always fun. You got to get a bicep pump every now and
oh
then
yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I love that stuff. I know I hate the other side of that too, where it's like these functional guys don't do any bodybuilding, you know? Because you know, I mean I do that stuff all the time. I would say like more than half of my like doesn't look like it, but more than half of my training is that stuff, you know. I have a good warm up, you know, have a good athletic warm up. We'll run around, maybe play some games or whatever, just compete a little bit, and then do our power block. But the other stuff is like bodybuilding, if you want to call it that. And then obviously like the conditioning aspect is, you know, non-bodybuilding. And then for me, it's like conditioning is like usually, you know, something short and quick that's kind of hard, or something long and slow. And I think that's pretty much how I do it now. I haven't ran too much lately. I'm just picky though, because like when I run, I want like the perfect temperature.
Oh yeah.
Want to be in nature. Like
Yeah.
I don't run if it's hot or cold, and I don't like to run on the concrete. So if it's like not like a trail, I just don't typically run. So
Yeah, it's hard. And when I had to get a lot of miles, it's like you just have to run and no matter what environment you have. And that got tough because it would rain, still had to run. I took Chloe on a 15-mile run once and it was like pouring rain. And we finished the 15 miles and we're like a mile, like 2 miles from the house. It was pouring so hard. I had to call Alyssa to come get us because it was so wet. It was really bad. We had to like hide under like a one of street corners. Like they had like a little awning. Chloe was soaked. It was pretty gnarly. Yeah. My shoes.
when you're running all those miles, did you just come across other people doing the same thing?
Yeah, actually this one time. So I when I had to run anything over 10, I would usually drive to Huntington, like Bolsa Chica, and park my car and I would just run like the boardwalk. Because that's where I did the 30 mile. I started in Long Beach, ran to Newport, and then ran back, and then had to run a little bit more.
Yeah.
Um, but when I did that, you see all types of people, right? I saw this dude who has, you could run past somebody and you could tell like, oh, they're probably gonna stop in like 10 minutes. They got like really nice glasses on, they got really nice shirt, really nice hat. And I saw this dude's probably been running like 6, 7 miles barefoot on the concrete, just bang, bang, bang. I was like, dude, he's wearing jorts, he's wearing like a Haggard shirt, and he's just getting after it. No watch, no hydration vest. He's just barefoot and going, dude. It was
Crazy.
pretty. And then you see other people just kitted out for a 3 mile run.
Yeah, it's funny too. You spend all this money on gear and are slow. What
Yeah.
about like a hard workout? Like when was like the last time or one that you remember where it was whether with me or with the boys or with coach that you're like, holy crap, I don't know how I made it through this. Like, do you have any of those?
Yeah, for sure. I think the first week where coach had us on the Polo Quinn method in January, that was pretty. There were a couple times where I was like, dude, I think I might black out right now,
Like,
you
was
know?
it the 6-12-24? Was it that
Yeah,
one?
6, 12, 24. And it was specifically every Monday we would hit this like this tri-set. We would do real front elevated split squat for 6, like goblet squat position. That was our heaviest one. So we do like 112 pound kettlebell for that one. Then we'd get like the 97-pound dumbbell or kettlebell and go 12 reps on there. And then we'd have like 145, 155 on the trap bar and do 24 reps of that. Dude, it was gnarly. It was crazy. Like I've never felt like the last time, other than that, I think the last time I felt something that crazy in my legs was when I was interning with Corey in his garage and I started jumping in. Most coaches say like, "Oh, the best way to learn is you just jumping
You
in."
better do it, man.
So, and obviously as like that was when I was really starting out, like nothing under my belt. I'm like, of course I have to. This is what I need to do. and I'm jumping in there with Bellator fighters and the UFC guys and up and comers. And I don't even think I did that much. I think I did like 800 meters on the Versa climber. And I got off and I was like, dude, coach, something's wrong. Like my legs are something is wrong.
Nice.
And I couldn't stand up. Like my legs were just shot. That Versa climber is insane. Um, that feeling was pretty bad. There's really those two instances. This one time we had I try to play around with the sandbags and try to get as much conditioning effect as I can out of the bags. So we would do this kind of like whether it's ascending or descending ladders. I'll do like one squat, one carry, or one lift, one carry, one lift, one squat, one carry, two lifts, two squats, two carries, and I would play around with that. And this one day I was doing that, but we did it with step ups. So I would have the step ups with the sandbags, and you'd have to like bear hug it up top. I think I got to 10. So I did 10 step ups with a 125-pound bag. And this specific bag is very thick. It's like wide. So it's not as long, but it's really wide. So like you really have to jam it into your ribs and you can't freaking breathe. You work with bags, you understand like you can't breathe. So 10 step ups on one leg, 10 steps ups on the other leg, carry it down and back the driveway. I came back and I was like on the verge of blacking out. That was gnarly. There's nothing more humbling in my opinion in terms of weightlifting and doing difficult things than picking up a sandbag with no handles, no nothing. It's just you can't ego lift it. You either got it or you don't. And if you try to ego lift it, you're gonna do one or two things. You're just not gonna get the bag up, or you're gonna hurt yourself. Like most things,
Gonna fall on
but
your butt.
or you fall on your butt. Yeah, and that's happened a couple times too. But yeah, I love the sandbags. The sandbags are, I think, one of, if not my favorite, tool to train with. They're just so simple.
I haven't ripped it lately, but do you remember the first time we were like all struggling with the 130? Like,
Oh, yeah, dude.
isn't
Yeah,
that crazy to think about? Like, isn't that crazy to think about? Like, we were all struggling. Me, you, whoever, Sauce, Chris. Like, it was like so hard. We couldn't do it. But I think
yeah,
it's crazy because like it's kind of like we're like the 4 minute mile.
yeah,
Roger Bannister or whatever. It was like they didn't, it took them whatever 60 years to do it. And then once someone saw it, it got broken so many times after that within the year, right? The same thing with the sandbag. I remember like it took us forever to lift it, but once one person lifted it, we could do it. And then my athletes started doing it, no problem. So it's like, dang, dude. So it's like, it's just cool to see. So I mean, yeah, but I mean, like that bag is like so light now. I mean, it's probably a
yeah.
little
That's a
weight too, but still, it's just like it's a cool tool. It looks cool. I think it could be scary, but I think it's a cool tool to play with. I like the sandbag. One of my favorite tools still is the Viper. I just love like I feel like
oh for sure.
every session we're doing something with it. I think it's just a
Yeah,
cool
100%.
tool. It just looks cool. It's different. Like not all gyms have them, so it's just kind of fun to play with.
Yeah, you see, it's it's mostly in my opinion, it's always the coaches who have never touched the Viper who hate on them,
Right.
you know. I think I mean, I can kind of see it ish, it's like somebody who's coming from a barbell only background. They're always just like, oh, we have to get like as much stress in the tissues as possible. You need actual load, like a rubber, a Viper is not like load. There's only so much you can do to stress, let's say you want to build quads. I don't know, dude. You like Viper over your head for 25 yards, you tell me that's not stressful, Or you move that Viper in a frontal plane and step into your lunge and step back to it while you're controlling mass and momentum of something that's like we have the 20 kg,
Oh yeah, it's so
the,
heavy.
the
That's
big
so heavy.
one, dude.
Yeah.
That's just like a different type of strength, And in my opinion, whether it's a bag or whether it's Viper, that stuff only complements your barbell stuff that much more,
Right.
Like I remember I went on a kick, and to be honest, to this day, it's very rare that I put weight. Like I'm not axial loading much these days. My body just doesn't take well to axial loading anymore, which I'm totally fine with. I don't really care. But I could squat. all day with the sandbags and my back is fine. I actually feel like better after it, right? Um, but there was a stint where I was like very heavy into the barbell and I went like probably 2 months off of it and I only did sandbags. Then I went back to my barbell stuff, my front squat. I ended up like putting up like 30 more pounds on my front squat and I hadn't touched a barbell in like 2 months. And it's just like, man, like people got to understand being strong is not like being strong or being strong in a Viper. It's just your strength is strength. And there shouldn't be a gray area. If you're strong, you're strong. That's it. You're not barbell strong, you're not sandbag strong. You're just a strong human.
And there's like grappler strong, where those guys are the worst because when you train a couple of those guys, I'm like, dude, you can only bench 35-pound dumbbells. You can only squat,
Yeah.
goblet squat a freaking 20 kg. But then they get their hands
And
on
then
them.
they grab you and pull
You're
you in.
like,
Yeah.
who is this guy? This is the craziest thing ever. This like doesn't make any sense. It's the worst thing ever. Those guys are the
It's
worst.
humbling for sure. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's humbling for sure. Yeah. I think they actually just came out with like a list on one of the hardest sports. Did you see that list?
Hmm.
Dude, wrestling was like number 7.
What's number one?
Number 1, they said boxing.
Yeah, I see that. I mean, it depends on how they determine like hard. I think like because those are like I guess those are like hard in the sense that like we can all train. There's time if we can put in, we can get there. It's just very, very hard. Whereas like if you and I
Yeah.
decided, hey Lou, let's try to go in the NBA, it would never happen. There's no
Never.
amount of training we could do to get us to the NBA.
Yeah.
Or there
Too
might
short.
be an amount of training we could do for boxing to get us a WBC fight. There might be.
Yeah.
Very limited chance, but there's literally no shot of you and I making NBA.
Yeah. And I think because boxing is so like in MMA, you have to be good at boxing, you have to be good at wrestling, you have to train all those different um things. Whereas in boxing, it's the one specific skill that you have to be elite at. And you're fighting people who are elite at that sport also. So like your training and your technique and your IQ, your fight IQ and your I guess the word would say like your ability to stay like calm, maintain your composure is what's gonna dictate. And I could see why boxing would be a difficult. I honestly I would have thought wrestling. I think wrestling is really, really hard sport.
Yeah, I mean, wrestling is very hard, but I think you're right with the boxing because the composure piece, because like you've been there, you sparred where you're just like getting hit by someone with shorter arms than you, but you can't hit them. It's like very frustrating. And it's not
Yeah.
like pain, yeah, it's painful. It's not painful whenever like, oh my God, I'm dying. It's like doom, 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 doom. And you're just like, what the heck, I
Yeah.
can't hit him. It's like that's like
It's frustrating.
right, it's
Yeah,
very
it's frustrating.
frustrating. Yeah, and you're like, dude, this is the
Yeah.
worst thing ever. I think it's like I think people need to do that stuff in some capacity to realize how hard it is, Anything.
Yeah.
Like catching a fly ball, it's hard, like all any sports skill, if you're gonna sit down and critique, like I think you gotta do it. Go do it. You can still critique, but I think go see how hard it is for yourself.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And I think that's why you see those camps who are people who are only barbell stuff. I think it's because, I mean, people will hate on this, but in reality, I know it's not easy, but let's be real, like it's a lot easier to squat like with a bar on your back versus like throwing a Viper overhead and lunging or something like
Right.
that. That stuff takes so much more energy.
Yeah, there's skill demand, yeah, because you do that stuff for your clients, you're like, oh man, I thought that was so easy until I did 4 reps.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You have to organize your
That's
body, right? I think that's the transfer. Like, I mean, yeah, barbell stuff's good for overall strength, growing tissue, but like, there's nothing beats like the ultimate sandbag or anything like that where you're moving in different planes. I think that transfers more to sport than it does a barbell front squat or barbell back squat.
Yeah. I think with the youth athletes, so like high school population for sure, yeah, teach them how to squat, teach them how to bench, teach them how to do push-ups. And I think once you get like the fundamental movement patterns, it's like, okay, they understand how to lunge, they understand how to lunge in multiple planes. Now we can tweak it a little bit. But then you think on the other side, it's like, well, what if you just teach them the tweaks right off the bat? Then are they going to think a bilateral squat is easier? like because they're exposed to all this three-dimensional movement, like what is really the correct path to teach youth how to lift or how to resistance train? Like, is there a correct path? Because normally it's you go hands-free front squat and then you go goblet squat and then you go into the barbell, like it's body weight, then med ball, then goblet, then you get under the bar. Like that's the usual progression, but I don't know. Does it have to be that way?
Yeah, I
I
think
mean,
you pose a good question here. I always just go back to this. I think, at first, when you start squatting after a while, that back squat, you're like, I can back squat 3 plates. I feel good. I'm strong. But then if you think back to your first time having a bar on your back versus having the bar on your front, like, yeah, they're both uncomfortable. But there was some aspect of that load on your back that wasn't right versus like, the load being here.
right,
Well, even though it kind of hurt your wrist because you weren't really doing it right, or it was kind of choking you. I still think that like uh, the back one might not be better or best, depending on what you're doing. But I think but then we've also learned too, if you're growing tissue, you don't have to do 3 by 15 or 5 by 5. Like pretty much any reps work, you know, if the intensity is correct, right? So like knowing those things about hypertrophy, if that's your goal, like you can still do anything. So I think I talked about this with like I think Chase was like the quote by Bruce Lee. When you first do martial arts, a kick is just a kick. And then in the middle of that, a kick's not a kick. And then towards the end of that, a kick is a kick again. So it's kind of like when we squat, it's like, all right, when you first
right.
a squat is just a squat, man. We're just going up and down. And then when you do it a little while, you're like, oh, well, a squat not a squat. I can do it this way, I can do it that way. And after you do all those things, you're like, a squat is just a squat, man. We'll just figure out later. So I think it's
Yeah,
kind of back to that. I like reading that quote. I've always thought about those things. For me now, it's like a workout. Workout's just a workout, just like it was when I first started. During the middle stuff, learning all this stuff, it wasn't. There's this, there's triphasic, there's French contrast, there's that undulating. But like, at the end of the day, man, I think you just need a good workout.
100%. We got some gardeners up in front, so it might get kind of loud.
Hmm. Is that your primo? No, I'm kidding.
But yeah, I think that's a really important. I don't know how important it would be. I just think that's really interesting. There's always like fundamental progression for kids to learn how to do resistance training. I think that's really interesting.
I think you just got to know, like, let's say you have a eighth grader, you just got to know what they're doing in high school and just prepare them for that. Because I know some
Yeah.
people are like, well, I'm not going to back squat them because they're going to back squat in high school. I'm like, no, no, you should back squat them. So you're preparing your kid to back squat in high school. So I think like understanding what they're going to do in high school, what that program's going to look like, then you do all your stuff to prepare them for that. That's what functional means.
Yeah, and for sure you'll see kids. It's like, like you'll see some like I don't know, 16, 15-year-old high school girl, and she's like, I just back squatted 255 for three. And then you watch it and you're like, I don't think you really did. That
Yeah.
poor girl's gonna get into college and tell her coach, like, coach, this is what I was lifting in school. No way, show me. And they're gonna be like, In reality, you could probably squat 100 pounds
Right. It's crazy.
for three.
It's a big gap. Like I remember coach would always say, like, I don't give a crap what you squatted at Buena Park High School, because he's probably heard at that point years of so and so coming. I squat 405, coach. I'm good. And they come in. And it's not like they squat 395. They're like, 300 or high twos if that. That mark is so far off of what they did in high school and what they're doing in Liver. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's why I think a high school strength coach is very it's when you have a good high school strength coach, I think that's very valuable, especially if you have aspirations of playing something in college. Even just going to college and being involved in athletics and you go into a collegiate level weight room, like you're just set up for success. Like you learn and just past college too, like just life in general. Like you learn how to do how to manage yourself in a weight room. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's important. That's life skills.
Yeah, no, I think it's true because nowadays you're a little bit older, but like, back in the day, if we were going to LA Fitness, some old heads might help us out with stuff. We don't know anything. I don't think they get that as much anymore because everyone's locked in with their headphones. Because we can go in and just be, oh, we're just two guys. We don't know what's going on. We're two teenagers. Like some dude's probably gonna help us like work out better. I don't think they're doing that anymore. So I think yeah, it's so important to learn these things now, right? And then like you said earlier, it's kind of like it's so hard to get in shape when you've never been in shape. Whereas like the people, at least if they were shaped when they were 15 years old, they'll kind of find it when they're 30. Like if you've never been in shape and you have to find it when you're 30, it's very hard. Like I've had people train like that, like out of a lot of people, there's only been like one or two that like really stuck, doing it now and starting late in their life.
Yeah. It's even hard too, like when you go in stints, like when Izzy was first born, she was a lot different than Luca, but like there are a couple weeks where it's like I would go a week and I would only train once. There has been weeks where I didn't train at all, like as much as it sucks to say, 100%. I mean, she's a lot different in that she just wouldn't sleep. She'd just cry all night, and like you wake up, you got like maybe 45 minutes of sleep.
Yeah.
Plus, you still got to go work. And in no way am I like bitching about it, right? But it just you start training again, and you're like, oh my God, I'm out of shape. This
Yeah.
is this. So it's like it's hard enough for people who are relatively in shape, let alone for somebody who has never done any training at all. It's just difficult, regardless of your level. You know,
Right,
um,
because now, like, imagine that, like, you don't, if you're a new parent, you've never had this background, like, you're just gonna stop. Like, you have it in you, and
yeah,
it's hard for you to train, right? So I think it's just so important to do something like teaching people that like doing something matters, doing anything helps, and like building those good habits now. Because like people will be like, oh, how do you just like you're on vacation and you're training? I'm like, yeah, like, do you not brush your teeth when you're on vacation?
yeah,
I don't mean it to be demeaning, but like I've done this for so long now, since like 14 or 15, it's more than half my life. Like I don't know, it's just like part of my routine. Like, I mean, not every day I get to hit it at 8 a.m. or 9 a.m., but like I'll do something. It just I don't know. It doesn't compute in my head.
yeah.
I think that's what at least my kid sees now. He's 7, and your kids will see that's like, oh, that's just like normal. Like dad just works out. Oh, okay. And like same with Coach Durant's Lance and John. They see it as normal. That's all they know, and that's like a cool thing to see and be a part of. They don't know any better. Like what a cool way to like grow up and live where like that's just part of your life.
Um, Yeah, it's huge. I think they're learning so much from that and growing so much from that. I think it's so valuable. So
Yeah.
valuable.
So your kids are a little bit young, and we'll leave with this today is what is some like fatherly advice that you have for your kids? You've been a father for a little while now. I know they're still a little young. What's something that, if they ever to watch this one day, what's something that you can pass along to them that they might need? And it's pretty universal, maybe.
Oh man, that's a good one. I think I think the biggest one, shit's gonna go get hard, You're gonna go through a lot of really difficult things. Life's gonna get hard. And you just gotta maintain the course, process over outcome, 100%. Like whatever it is that you want to achieve, you can't just be so focused on what you want to achieve. You have to be focused on what it takes to get there, no matter how hard life is going to come at you, because it will, it will. You just have to maintain the course and don't break, you know. That's like the cliche one, bend but don't break, but it's so true, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I resonate with that a lot. I think it's so. Yeah, I think you learn that through that from going through hard things, right? You're never going to learn that from avoiding the hard stuff. If you're doing the hard stuff now, it makes it a lot harder down the line or when something bad happens to us, we're ready to go, you know. It's not about avoiding those hard things. It's like sometimes you gotta be like, we gotta go seek it sometimes, you know. And like sometimes like, you know, there are days when you're tired and you probably shouldn't train, but there's days when you're like, I'm a little tired today. I gotta get it. I know it's gonna be hard. Let's do it. You know, I think you always come out of that better, you know. So,
Yeah, 100%.
so cool, man. What do you got? What else you got tonight? You done?
No, I got a 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and potentially a seven. I'm waiting on confirmation.
I think the late ones are nice because they say no. All right, cool. If they say yeah, cool. You
Yeah,
know.
and you're good. And it helps that I'm at home. My commute is very, very
Right,
short.
right. Yeah, it's always a win. You know, I think that's the mindset you gotta have. It's always a win, right? If I have more clients, I have more money. If I have less, I have a little bit of free time, and it's not time to freak out, right? On either end. Well, cool, man. I'll
Yeah,
let you go here, man. Good talk, and then we'll do this soon, man.
yeah, we'll do this one again for sure.
All right, man. Later.
Thanks. See ya.
Subscribe and like. Subscribe and like.